So, aside from that, I can't really think of anything else to say. Wait. Yeah, I didn't really expect to get a lot done in this episode, or these episodes, by any means. I just wanted to get that all off my chest. Oh, Lord. Yeah, we definitely came into here very unprepared, I should say. I'm almost tempted to kill myself and get out of here. Which, ironically, was what I thought in the dream. But yeah, it was so... And once I woke up, I'm like, oh my god, it's finally over. And then I fell asleep again, and I can't remember what the hell happened when I fell asleep again, but I just remember it was bad, bad times all around. So, sorry I'm a little bit distracted, everybody, but it's super fucking hot. It must be like 80 degrees, 90 degrees in here. And for those of you that are using the metric system of, or Fahrenheit, or whatever the hell it is, you know, the one where they use lower numbers, it must be like 31 degrees in here. Something like that. 33? I don't know. I don't know my metric system very well. I know for a fact it was 37 today. Or if you don't use that speaking, it was about 102 outside. So basically, I'm flat out uncomfortable. That is how I would describe myself. Severely uncomfortable. But at least we have the heals, and at least we went deeper down into the depths where we found a couple wizards and they did nothing to me. Yeah, again, I really don't even care that I came all the way down here for nothing, Zane, I swear to fuck. Why is Zane even here? Why do we even care? Would he heal if we took him to the inn? Would he fall asleep and take the wood off of himself? Or the stone, even. His hardness. If I put him to sleep, will his hardness go away? Well, if I knock him unconscious? Penis jokes all over the place. You don't even know. Good lord, wolves, you can't do anything to me. Close call my ass. It's literally my ass on the line. Ah, now I gotta go back to the other villages and wake them all up and dog biscuits. They're gonna poison me. Poison Zane. Poison Zane. Come on. You can do it. Are they all arachnids? I think they might have been. I wonder what the other colored ones were. I don't know, but I'm out. So, yeah, I have a very large... Oh, fuck off. I have a very large repertoire of very bad dreams. And to be honest, I really don't remember any of my really good dreams. Except I do remember this one where I was getting a massage from a giant Asian woman, which was really weird. Or maybe I was the giant. No, she was the giant. Maybe I was giving her the massage. I can't remember. All I remember was this humongous Asian woman. And there was some kind of massaging going on, like back style, like you see at clinics. But it was really, really long ago, and I just remember being overpowered by this one woman's beauty. It was like, oh my god. I don't know. God, I hate you ghosts. But there was the other time, though, where I dreamed that I was in my house, and my house had been burned down to the ground, and the sky was black, and I was looking out my back door, and Hitler's giant zombie robot head came by. That was weird. He just kind of ducked in. It kind of looked like he was a huge robot, and he just kind of ducked his head in to, like, look in my window to see if I was there. Or maybe it was even a disembodied head, but it was huge. I just remember that. And it was some kind of dead gray. The whole world was dead gray. So, sometimes I don't like to go to sleep. I really don't want to have these dreams. You know, some people might revel in the fact that they're having fucked up dreams. Like, oh, I've got stories to tell, but when you actually have to live through them, it's not too fun. I mean, I've had this ever since I was a little kid. I remember one time watching an old, I think it was Johnny Quest back in the day, and they were in some kind of virtual reality thing where there was some kind of like maze puzzle thing where they were fighting like a Medusa-esque thing. Whenever Medusa came by or looked at somebody, it would just show this really, really big 3D close-up of her face. Zane. Zane don't get to sleep. He had to sit there all day. Oh, get out of my way. Jill. Yeah, let's get that. Lovely. So, more power for me. And what about Hawkeye? He can learn Warp. Sorry, you can't learn that. What? What? Oh, I must have too many spells. Ass. Anyway. But yeah, I just remember one time. That Medusa face from Johnny Quest kept messing with me, and I kept, I had a dream that it was at my school, and it had frozen, like, everybody, including the, like, we were all running away from it. Shit. Zane! Why? Why is everything only doing 1 damage to me? I should kill my friends more often. Ooh, there's that big town. But, yeah. It was just bad, bad times for me. Hey, look, it's the first place that I ever came to. Lovely. Because I've always wanted to come back here. Only 40 gold? What a pittance. Now, do you sell softs? I bet you don't. I bet you don't. No, you don't. You know what, though? Might as well buy as many of these as we can. Because we can. But, yeah, I don't know. I've had many a night where I just wake up in a pure sweat. Out of terror. Maybe it's all the fucked up books I read or something. If you want to read a really fucked up book, go read Posed Children by Peter Straub. That has a lot of really messed up stories in it. It's like a compilation thing. I remember this one in particular. I'll spoil one of them for you. How's that? One of them is called Cleopatra Brimstone. And it's all about this really, really smart girl who basically... by the way, if you want to listen to this, or if you want to read this book, it's still a good read, even if you know what's going to happen, but I'm gonna spoil it anyway, so just warning you. Anyway, there's a smart girl. She's really smart. She's extremely pretty, and her big obsession is butterflies. Like, not in the terms of she likes them because they're pretty. She likes them because of the anatomical structure and etc. She's a big geek when it comes to these butterflies. Ever since she was a little girl, just butterflies, butterflies, butterflies. Just nothing but them. And she even gets to the point where she doesn't have any friends because, you know, they don't share her obsession or her interest, and she doesn't go out with boys because, or she doesn't even, like, really have many boy friends because they all fall in love with her, no matter how dedicated they are to their stupid butterflies. And, ow, my knee. And she grows up through life, and, you know, eventually she hits her maturing point where she's growing to be a young woman. And as she's going into this stage, can I do this? Nope. As she's getting into the stage, she notices that there are 2 eyebrows of hers that are growing in particularly large at her forehead. And she touches one, and she's like, wow, that's kind of weird, but she clips it off and nothing happens. And then later on through life, you know, she goes through going to college and all that, and she gets a scholarship and all that, and blah, 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 because she's really fucking smart, and nobody seems to care because she has no social life, whatever, but she's helping the world of butterflies, so everything else be damned. There better be some pures down here for poor old Zane. So anyway, she's living at college now, and she's having a good life. It's mainly a college for women, so, you know, there aren't a lot of guys around. And she isn't exactly the only beautiful woman around there anyway. And they're all into different weird things and etc. And as she's walking home one night, she gets attacked, I guess you would say. Attacked by a ruffian. 800? 800? That is highway robbery. That is fucking highway robbery, my friend. If I didn't need those pures, buddy. Good lord. Anyway, so as she's walking home, or walking to her walking to her dorm, she goes through an alleyway, like the smart young girl she is, and gets attacked, surprisingly, by a man. She doesn't see who it is, but she feels the knife blade to her neck, and he says, "Don't move, don't scream." And she's like, she's had these, like, rape preparedness classes before, so she knows what to do. She doesn't struggle, she just doesn't want to be killed. So he basically cops a few feels and then says, "Try to get away." And she struggles and tries to get away, and he gets excited and then splooges and then runs away. Nothing really that bad, you know, could have been a lot worse. And she runs off and, you know, calls the police and all that, and she goes to a couple, you know, support groups, and she kind of scoffs at the women in the support group because she's like, well, you know, that's just one instant of my life. It doesn't need to become my whole life. And a lot of the women were put off by that. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So she gets kicked out of there, and she basically, her family's friend says, you know, you can come live with me over in England. And she basically goes to live with him in England. And that's what I was going to do. Perfect. She goes to live with him in England at a little cottage all by herself because he needs somebody to house sit. And as she's flying over, she notices that the eyebrow things are back. And she's like, what the fuck are these? And she touches them, and she automatically orgasms and, like, slams her head into the mirror that because she's on the plane and she's looking at herself in the plane mirror bathroom thingy. She touches them, slams her head against the window out of pure exploitative pleasure. And she's like, whoa, what the fuck is that? So she gets there, she's having a good time, she gets to England, it's a pretty nice place, the guy's a doctor, he has a lot of medical supplies kind of locked away, you know, morphine, etc., and various other things, but he trusts her enough, he knows she's not a drug addict or anything. But she gets a little bit bored, and for seemingly no reason at all, she decides to go out clubbing. And she doesn't really have that many interesting places to go, so she's like, whatever. But while she's out and about, she notices a ad in the local newspaper. Don't ask me how she got her hands on a newspaper. She got her hands on a newspaper that basically says, hey, the zoo needs some people, you know, to help. So she goes to the zoo, and she goes automatically to the butterfly and or insect exhibit, and there's a burly man there, and he's like, what do you want? And she's like, oh, sir, can I please work at the bug museum, because I just get off on that kind of shit. And he's like, okay, fine. You can work here. Can you type? And she's like, yes, I can fucking type. And she gets kind of mad at him because, you know, she has fucking degrees in that field. So he's like, all right, Miss Smart Tits, you can have your job here. It's quite boring, though. And, you know, have you been out to any clubs lately? And she's like, yes, I went out clubbing the other night. I didn't really find anything that interesting about it. Well, you know, you should go to this one place. You know, the East London district, or wherever the hell it was. So she goes out, has a bit of a row. And as she's walking around, she goes into this one club called The Hive, you know, because she's into bugs and shit. And she goes in, and it's pretty much a standard club, you know, nothing too shocking or anything like that. She gets hit on a couple times, and she wants to leave. You know, she thought it might be something special, since it was in the, quote-unquote, the evil or hard area of town, or rough, I guess you'd say. And as she's trying to leave, she's trying to find the exit, and she goes out this one door she thinks is the fire door. She opens it up and finds a whole bunch of corpses on, like, tables. And they're hung in every sort of position. There's fat men, fat women, young men, fat girls, some kids, some people who've been decapitated, and they're all just splayed out, you know, like it's a morgue, or like some kind of grisly morgue. And she's just like, wow. And then this fat man in a leather bikini comes out, and he's like, oh, what are you doing in here? He's like, don't you know not to poke your nose into certain people's business? Oh, Lord, it's a troll. He's poking his nose into my business. And so she gets kicked out, thankfully not killed in any way. And she's just like, what the fuck was that? So she basically realizes there's a whole underbelly of stuff that's going on that she doesn't even know about. So for apparently another no-reason situation, she goes out and shaves her head off and gets a black wig and all this kinky stuff. She goes out clubbing again. Her new name is no longer Jane. I think it was like Thorpe or something like that. She's now known by her alias, not Crimsiana. I wanted to say Crimsiana. Cleopatra Brimstone. And as she's going out, she seduces a young gentleman back to her place for illicit sex. And basically, she ties him to the bed, you know, kinky style, with some handcuffs that she got from the kinky store sex shop that she visited. And she basically ties him in the bed, takes off his pants, and then says, well, she basically says, "Try to get away." And he tries to get away. And then she does some kind of weird move on him, and then all of a sudden, before she knows, he is shrinking. He's shrinking and getting smaller, and his arms are curling into his body and his legs, and before she knows it, she's looking at a butterfly. One of the most rarest butterflies there is. And she basically discovers that if she has somewhat of a sexual encounter in this exact manner with men, they turn into butterflies, who she then kills. You know, she puts them in a jar, puts in some some heavy chemical, I think it was like methane or something like that, puts them in the jar, puts in a methane tissue or some kind of chloroform, whatever, kills the butterflies, and then pins them to her little collection. And this goes on for quite a while. She's very careful about getting rid of the clothes and evidence and all that. And this goes on and goes on and goes on. And actually, she's got her eye on a couple gentlemen because she's constantly now wondering, oh, I wonder what kind of butterfly he'd turn into. Now, some of these butterflies are so rare, they've only been seen like 3 times in civilization, so admittedly, she's a little bit excited. This, I guess, for you guy gamers or girl gamers out there, this would be the equivalent if you fuck somebody and they turn into a mint edition copy of Chrono Trigger or something. Japanese release. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of or like some kind of precious gem. Or some kind of fine wine. Oh, I cannot pass this up. You know what I mean. Something really rare that you don't see every day or every century. So, and she's getting away with it. So she's kind of looking around. She notices her boss. She's really kind of looking at her boss like, I wonder what kind of butterfly he'd turn into. So she kind of, you know, tries to seduce him and all that, but he doesn't really have it. You know, he's just like, oh, silly little Jane trying to seduce an old codger like me, and etc. And, by the way, I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this, but this is what I'm talking about right now, so I won't go on for too long. Basically, while she's out, she seduces another guy to come back with her. And as she's finishing up with him, she hears a voice from behind her go, "Holy shit." And she turns around, and guess who's in the doorway? It's her boss, and he comes up, overpowers her, and the book ends with her trying to get away, and he says, "Try to get away." And you're like, oh shit, and that's basically Cleopatra Brimstone. There's a couple more details in there that I did not actually say, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And again, I would suggest either reading it or listening to it, because I listen to it, because I like listening to books on tape, and they help me remember it better, because I'm more of an auditory learner than a reading learner. As you can probably tell from when I play games, I don't really even pay attention to what the fuck happens. So yeah, pretty intense. So that's probably one of the reasons why I have bad dreams. Because I listen to shit like that. Admittedly, that is one of the more stranger ones, but it is definitely not one of the more disturbing or disgusting ones that I've ever read. By any means. And what's funny is I actually own, up in my room, the Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft, the collection of his crazy workings, and to be honest, I have it leather bound, and it is an exceptionally hard book to read. Oh shit, you ass, don't you dare. Don't you dare turn one of my people to stone. Oh, I thought you were going to do it to Zane. But anyway, I own the Necronomicon, and it is one heck of an interesting book. However, it is so strangely worded. The vocabulary is so out there that I can barely read it for more than 10 minutes without getting a headache. And I'm somebody who reads books with the words like phantasmagorious in them. I don't know, that's not even a word, but you know what I mean. Just huge, long words that run together in such ways. And, you know, I'm a fairly articulate young man, I like to think, but If you ever go read some of the things by H.P. Lovecraft, it is very hard to keep track of what the hell's going on. And I'm not just zoning out, either. Aw, you ass!